qualifying people for dating or for friendship. I think this is really important and something that isn't talked about enough, especially if you're taught that, you want to be loving, you want to be kind, or you want to be trusting. But I'm inspired by a new trainer that I'm working with, and he screens people before he decides to work with them, not just based on whether we can afford it, that's important, but also what's our diet like, what's our sleep like, because he says he doesn't work with people who don't get enough sleep because there's no point in working with people like that because you're not going to make any progress. And that's true. You definitely need to get enough water and get enough sleep to make progress in your coaching and in your training. And the same applies to like my Pilates instructor. She also only works with people who are serious, or certain, like people who have injuries or have certain things they want to work on, and only people who will train with her at least 3 times a week. So there are all these requirements, and it reminds me of when I was a real estate agent and I would only show houses to people who were pre-qualified with a mortgage broker. In a lot of sales, you want to pre-qualify people based on whether they can afford to pay, but some people, even like say sex workers or trainers or coaches and therapists, they have additional screening criteria to see if they even want to take you as a client. It's not just enough that you can afford their services. For example, my trainer was also kind of screening me today to see if I'm coachable. Am I going to argue about everything? Am I going to, listen and take his cues? Am I going to appreciate him? And I know that some dance instructors, they don't like to work with people who know everything, who talk back to them. Same with coaches. Like, is this person coachable? So what I'm trying to say is that when people who provide a personal service gain a certain level of experience, they start having higher standards. So when you're a new realtor, you might just take everyone, but when you're experienced, you mainly just want to get sellers because they're less work than buyers. You want to work with people who are more pre-qualified, like they have more money to put down, they're more serious, maybe more higher priced houses. And when you're a coach, what I've seen with my friends, I have a friend who's a therapist, and over the years she's just raised her prices as she's become more experienced and more in demand. So I think the same way applies to our friendships and to our dating specifically. Like, the more work we've done on ourselves, like the more healthy we are, the more we can expect of someone else. And maybe in this area, some of you might be struggling where you might think, well, I should give this person a chance. I can change this person. Or you get kind of lured in by how someone looks. Maybe some of you men get lured in by a pretty girl, and you only later find out that her drinking is interfering in your relationship, or her cheating, or her lying. So people overlook a lot of red flags because, see, people are not rational. We think people are rational, but they're not rational. For example, even take the real estate market or the stock market. People are very emotional. They sell their stocks when the price is falling rather than waiting, Even in real estate, there's a reason that home prices increase in the summer and that demand for homes increases in the spring. And they always say, well, it's because people are moving to get their kids ready for the new school year. But that's bullshit, because I worked with a lot of people who didn't have kids and they weren't concerned about the school year. It's just that springtime brings out a new energy in people, a new aliveness, a new sense of adventure. And often in winter, people want to go within and just be quiet and, like these cycles of life. And it's emotional. And relationships are emotional. And so when you're vetting people for dating, it's so important that you use your brain, not your emotions, not your desire, or any of that. And that's where qualifying comes in. What you might want to do is make a list of things that you want to know about the person, and you have every right to ask that person these questions before you ever pursue them or go out with them. Um, you know, Dating and friendships are not supposed to be a place where you volunteer or give pity. Like, if you're volunteering and giving pity to this person you're dating by making excuses for them, compensating for their lack, you might be better off volunteering at a homeless shelter or a soup kitchen, I'm just saying, or with young children, because friendships and relationships are supposed to be partnerships based on equal contributions. And it doesn't have to be financial. Like, let's say that you're a woman who wants to get married and be a stay at home mom. So you have a certain skill set you bring. You're good at doing, you really love to do homemaker stuff. You love children. You love cooking and cleaning and making a home and having family dinners and planning trips and ironing your husband's clothes and taking care of him and having his dinner ready. And the man ought to be providing and showing up for you. If you are a two-career couple, then both people should be working. Like, you want somebody who's got the energy to invest in the relationship, in my opinion, and someone who's healthy. And I hear from a lot of guys who end up with these very toxic women, uh, women who are bad with money, women who party too much, women who are loose with their sexuality. Like, you're not qualifying these women, you guys. You guys are just going with some romance story of this perfect girl based on how she looks, and you're attributing all these qualities to her, but meanwhile, she's a train wreck, and you end up miserable. Um, this video is about qualifying. This video isn't about you not showing up. This is about qualifying. And for ladies, we get taken in by man's words rather than watching his actions. And these guys will text you or they'll tell you things, but none of it is backed up by action. So I think for ladies, qualifying men has to do with seeing their actions. Maybe the same goes for men. So start thinking about qualifying people. You don't have to be rude, but you can just qualify them and start to see yourself as a prize. Now, the problem is, like for me in my situation, I've been single 9 years. I haven't met a single man who qualified in 9 years, and I don't even think I'm that picky. There just aren't that many single men out there, and men are just not approaching like they used to. Like in California, where I live, they're very feminized. They don't approach, they can't deal with rejection. They don't have any internal energy to bring it on. But not all men are like that. Like, I'm very proud of my boys. When my sons have gone through a breakup, and one of them has gone through a breakup recently, they just completely reinvent themselves. I was just telling my son the other day, like, a lot of men, when they go through a breakup, they start drinking, they start eating a lot. But this guy, he's out there camping with his friends. He's going to the gym more. He's like feeling a whole new energy and revival and rebuilding his life. So I'm very proud of him. And that's possible for all men. I wish I could see more men like my sons and my ex-husband in the world, and I don't. So they're my standard. They are my standard. They are solid men. But my ex-husband grew up, his whole family grew up on the farm. They were farmers, well-to-do farmers, but farmers. And farmers are a different breed. They're not just sitting around on their phones. Like, they get up early, they work, everybody does chores before school. And that's the way that he grew up. And so there's something, I think, about the way we were raised, about having manners, having a work ethic, having responsibility, and being self-sourced and also relational. And I just find that's just missing in so many people today. It's so easy to get emotionally drawn in by something, but we have to keep our head on straight, you guys. Now I want to do a fun shout out. I made a video a couple days ago asking men what they want in women, and I hope to get more answers. And they're just so sweet what men are saying that they want. It ranges from, I want a girl who's honest and I just want to hold her hand, to I want a girl who is sexual and will take it in the ass and will shake her booty when um, when I'm tapping it from the back. So if you guys come across that video, just leave whatever comments you want. Just be honest about what you want. You're allowed to want what you want. You're allowed to just want a girl to hold your hand. You're allowed to want a girl who'll wiggle her ass when you're tapping it from the back. You're allowed to want a girl who's honest and who likes to cook and likes to knit. You're allowed to want a girl who will provide for you. I'm really curious what men are wanting. I should make another video about why men aren't dating. I meet so many guys who are afraid of rejection. Guys, grow up. You guys have to grow up. You guys have a strong desire for body parts. You gotta take that same desire and use it to go out into the world and date a woman and ask a woman out. You've got to stop watching porn if that's what's stopping you, and you've got to get over your fear of rejection. You've got to grow up and be an adult. I don't know if all these men were coddled by their mothers or what is wrong with them, but if you're not dating because you're afraid of rejection, you need help. That is an unnatural, distorted, dysfunctional state for a man. If you're not asking women on dates because you're afraid of rejection, you're either lacking testosterone or some basic quality, you guys. You gotta grow the fuck up. You gotta grow the fuck up, guys. A real man learns to use rejection. And by the way, there's a reason a lot of men will never be with a woman. I'm sorry, guys have it very much harder, because it used to be that when they've done DNA studies of, looked at people's DNA, it turns out that historically, like in our tribal days, 80% of women were mothers. So 20% of women never had children for whatever reason. Maybe they were infertile, I don't know. 80% of women were mothers, but only 40% of men were fathers. That means either they couldn't get a woman to have sex with them, or their sperm was not strong enough, because women had sex with many men and only the best sperm made it to the egg. Only 40% of men were fathers. And I think there are 102 boys born for every 100 girls. And men have it harder. They have higher rates of depression, anxiety, autism. And the problem with that is that men do have it harder. And that's why I think that women, we need to be aware of that and be kind to them, but we don't have to give them pity. We don't have to coach them. We don't have to mommy them, because a man is built to handle the rigors of life. Life is harder for men, but you're built for that. You have more muscle. You have more testosterone. And if your father wasn't a good role model, or your mother hated men, and you didn't understand that your masculine qualities are a precious gift and important, and you didn't learn to trust your masculine skills and your muscle, hopefully I can wake up that desire in you and remind you that you're a man. You have testosterone. You have more muscle. You're built for this. You are built for this. You're built to build bridges and monuments and pursue women. If you're just sitting on your sofa playing video games and watching porn, you are destroying the male lineage. And I'm concerned that that's what's happening with our society. You want to be transgender, you want to be a woman, you want to feminize our military, you want to dumb down the masculine energy, fine. Just see, the human race is just going to die out, and it's not going to be fun and juicy. And in order for people to want to date and have this very beautiful aspect of our lives, like functioning, men need to be men. They need to pursue women. and women need to be soft and receptive. So that's my little thing. But we have to start qualifying each other and expecting more of each other. Don't just go after every woman, and guys, don't plunder women. You know, when you're just going for a hookup, you're plundering women. And women, if you just use men to buy you stuff, you're plundering men. Let's just be nice to each other.